I think the first thing that needs to be repealed is the consultation process, make it more transparent, because at the moment it's kept very quiet. There's many situations when it comes to planning in North Yorkshire County Council where there's a consultation process, but it's kept very quiet. So communities don't have the opportunity to put across their views, for that to be taken away, and for a very meaningful consultation to take place. It just seems at the moment consultation is a tick box, and that's it. So for me, that's the first thing to do, is have a transparent consultation process.
Thank you. It's really difficult for me to understand how this Hellifield Flashes catastrophe has occurred, because it seems to me that the Holton Homes have taken a planning permission that was granted in 2006. I just can't understand how that's happened. However, there's other issues about planning. In Ripon, we have a similar problem in a development that's happening on the old barracks side. But what we're doing is over a year, we've been campaigning as Liberal Democrats there to ask people what they want, to discover the problems, and then to say to our Liberal Democrat councillors in Harrogate, this is Harrogate Borough Council, this is an issue you need to address. And I would address the issue back to both the councillors and the officers of Craven District Council and say, listen, where were you when this was happening? Because there are processes. In 2011, the coalition government introduced a neighbourhood planning. And that's a fantastic way in which local neighbourhoods, it's difficult, it takes time, but local neighbourhoods can invest time, they get lots of grants to do it. We're doing that in my parish council in Bewley. We're just starting out on that process. There are mechanisms that live in the planning process. Thank you. Thank you.
I want to start actually by paying tribute to Chris Morby from the Conservative Party for the work he's done on the I was out earlier this week with a group of people from all parties who were protesting about what has happened down there. Utterly outrageous. The first thing I would do is I would scrap the right to implement a planning permission if it hasn't been completed after 7 years. It's outrageous. A 17-year-old planning decision. Second thing I would do is I would scrap the presumption in favour of development, which was passed by the Cameron government. Then I would go on to try and deal with the fact that you can only get a local plan through if you include huge amounts of housing. We've recently passed our local plan because we had to have some protection, but you can only get it through if it's agreed by an inspector in Bristol who insists on huge amounts of housing, and that's not what we need around here. We need housing built for need, not housing built for the interests of developers. And the final thing I would do I would cancel the wasteful £1 billion a year help to buy scheme, which puts money in the pockets of building developers and does absolutely nothing except put the price of houses up. Wasting government money by the Conservatives.
Well, people talked to me about Hellifield Flashes, I think 7, 8 years ago, and I think the biggest thing here is, again, as has been said, the fact that that mandate has just been able to sit and then has now relatively recently popped up again. The consultation, as it is in Ripon in the example that's just been given, is key, and I think we do need to get into a situation where both councils and developers, in the case here, the case in Ripon, the discussion with the local community needs to be much more sophisticated. So I think, to answer the question, how long do these licences last for, needs to be, I think, current and in time, and secondly, on consultations. The broader issue, I congratulate, Andy, you're on the council, the local plan that's just been agreed. We do need to get a balance between housing and our area, which is one of the most beautiful parts of the United Kingdom. I think Craven District Council tries very hard to do that. It doesn't succeed all the time. But remember, whoever is your MP will have both people coming in campaigning for issues like Hellifield Flashes, where there's the most stunning sort of land and the most stunning area of natural beauty. And they will also have people with children and grandchildren who do need housing. And I think it's that balance which is always a challenge, particularly in areas like this.
Thank you.
Thank you. Do you want to follow up?
I've just had a bit of a light bulb moment about the fact that we seem here in Settleland, in this area, to be almost suffering a bit of a Cornwall problem, in that we've got a huge proportion of, particularly the smaller, more affordable buildings in this town that are actually holiday lets. They're being bought by people elsewhere because they're nice and cheap, but of course that means that our young families have nowhere to live, etc. Interesting, when I was thinking about this not long ago, that the council tax, therefore, is not coming in where it needs to go. The 3% uplift on stamp duty for second homes is also diverted straight through to central government. And so there doesn't seem to be any benefit locally at all. Just trying really hard to work out from a statutory perspective what thinking could be applied to limiting how the existing, not the new, the existing housing stock is somehow handled. And I just posit that as a...
if it's okay, if you will leave that question hanging, because I want to do one more. We've got a couple of minutes left. I want to do one last question. I'm sorry we're not getting through all the questions that you asked. I had hundreds. We have got one last one that I want to. A number of people asked me about support for asylum seekers. So Anne Ogley, is Anne here? So the question is, asylum seekers are not allowed to work, often for a period of years, whilst the Home Office processes their applications, managing on £5.39 a day. Would you support a change in the rules so they can honourably contribute to society? So I'm after a fairly short answer, if that's okay, and we'll start with Julie.
So first of all, the Settle is doing amazing stuff with community and some Syrian groups, and there are exceptional examples across the constituency of people that have come in, particularly from Syria, and have been given a great home. I do think this issue of work is important. We're encouraging people to work, we're encouraging people to get into work. We want to be welcoming. Our approach is, if you are a successful asylum seeker, we should be welcoming, and we do need to look at the conditions that people come in on and give them as early as possible the opportunity to earn a living.
Thank you.
Yes, I would support the rule to change, make it easier for asylum seekers to work, but I think the best way to do that is to process their claims quickly as possible, instead of just letting them wait months and months and not get any results. Try and do it within a couple of weeks, and so they don't have to, we know, it's ambitious, I know, but I think the best way to do it would be make it as quickly as possible, so they're not stuck spoiling £5.39 a day.
Jack, thank you. Right.
I think the first thing we'd have to do is, the Labour government will establish a humane immigration system, and we will end the hostile environment that we have at the moment and avoid something like a Windrush situation that is just, disgusting that's happened. Our immigration system must allow us to recruit the people we need and to welcome them and their families. Our work visa system must fill any skills or labour shortage that arise. So yes, getting rid of that will be a start, and we have to make sure everyone in our society is welcome, regardless of where they're from.
Right.
I think the issue of immigration and asylum is separate, but nonetheless, the Liberal Democrat philosophy is to welcome strangers from any country. But yes, of course, we need to be much more welcoming to asylum seekers. We want to eliminate the hostile environment that was initiated by the Conservative government under Theresa May. We need to provide properly trained staff of the border force to be able to help asylum seekers rather than to put them in confinement. And we need to welcome them. We have a proposal to have 10,000 refugees a year welcome to the United Kingdom, 10,000 unaccompanied children over the next 10 years, and to provide them with the facilities to join our society and to contribute, which of course they will do.
Andrew, thank you.
Well, it's bonkers, isn't it, to have young people come into this country and then say you can't work. Yeah, I mean, whilst judging the application for asylum, it should be normal that we're expecting people to work, not banning them from doing so. It costs us money and doesn't help them integrate into their society. So a really good thing. The other thing I'd say is this. I have a friend who worked 20 years in the NHS. She's Dutch. And she's been forced to apply for settled status. She brought 2 kids up in this country, contributed for 20 years to looking after all our health, and now we're treating her like she's got to beg us for permission to stay in this country. We're better than that.
Indeed. We moved seamlessly there from asylum policy to immigration. Regrettably, we've hit 7 o'clock. I'm sorry that we couldn't ask all of the questions. Thank you so much for coming and for your engagement. And can we just thank our candidates for their time? Thank you very much for your time and have a safe journey home. Thank you.